So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing bottom line. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds. And most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
we rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
practice.
Hello, you play to win the game.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
3, 2, 1, happy 2000!
No time on the clock, and the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead.
Worldwide Sports Radio Network presents Below the Mark.
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the country. Remember, this is Below the Mark. We are live every single Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. You could also do this, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And ladies and gentlemen, you can also do this, which I don't forget this. You can do only one very, very special thing. And by the way, I do this all the time, and it's very, very hard to do this when Speedy is not here in the studio. So I am doing the production end. I have to make sure that the music is right and everything like that. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, because this is not easy, especially when I'm trying to host the show as well. But nevertheless, you could also do this, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very easy. If you don't know this already, this is what you do. You go to our iOS, which is Apple, and you go into the search bar. You put in WWSRN, or you can go to Android and you put in the search bar, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy has it easy right now. He's over there with his family, hanging out with his stupid boots on the wall, whatever he wants to call them. His little stockings or whatever the heck it is.
They're stockings. They're not boots.
But they look like boots, okay? But to me, I'm just tired. I'm very, very tired. But I'm happy to be here. I'm always happy to do a radio show for all the fans out there. So all the fans that listen to the show every single day, I really appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of laughs. And unfortunately, Speedy's not sitting next to me, so I can't beat the hell out of him while I'm just so really pissed off. But
don't worry, at least my hair's cut now, so you can't complain about that anymore.
That's not saying much, but at least what do you call that? What are you trying to be? Don Juan or something? You push it to the side? I think you need some gel or some mousse or whatever the hell you do it. You got to put mousse in other places as well, because you don't shave in certain areas of your body as well. So cleaning and cutting is definitely the way to go when it comes to Speedy. Kenny Rayner, ladies and gentlemen, in the feed right now, the Facebook feed. Oh, man. All right. So we do this. We do this a lot. And I will say this. For all those people that don't like this segment, well, who cares what you guys like? I do, and I'm going to do it now. We call this, Speedy,
Sports and Entertainment News.
Whoa. James Harden responds amid reported investigation into the club footage. Well, obviously, James Harden has been babied for years for the Houston Rockets, and why not trying to push himself out to go to the Nets? Well, I'm sure they have footage on that. I don't even read these stories because they're so stupid. Rockets, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins to miss the opener versus the Thunder due to COVID-19 tracings. What do you think about that, Speedy?
And the whole game's been postponed. That just got announced about an hour ago, so nobody's playing, and maybe Wall and Cousins will be out even long term too.
NFL news, Stephen Jones on Andy Dalton's future with the Cowboys. Well, a lot of people believe that Andy Dalton will stay there with the Cowboys. He did sign a 2-year contract, but Dak Prescott will be back next year, and I expect the Cowboys to give him a long-term deal after next year after they find out that he's 100% healthy. So that's what I got to go with that. Good chance former NFL general manager gets hired by the Lions. Well, I don't know if you read this article, Speedy, but there are quite a few managers interested in the Lions job. I have no idea. But, Aaron Wilson is one of those guys that everybody keeps talking about, is a guy that's going to be head over heels for this terrible job. Bill Belichick gets tested with reporters over Cam Newton's questions. Well, gets testy. I'm sorry. I am really not surprised that Bill Belichick is getting testy. This is what Bill Belichick does. He's annoying and doesn't have a lot to say about much of anything. So coaching interviews make little sense if GM candidates can't be interviewed too. Well, obviously you hire the GM before you hire the coach. Only the Jets do that. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that. Jim Kelly reacts to Josh Allen threatening his franchise record. Well, Jim Kelly loves it. I mean, when you have a superstar quarterback like a guy like Allen who could really redevelop and strengthen this Buffalo Bills team for the better, I don't think he's going to complain about that. NBA rumors and news. James Harden was late to Disney bubble due to a positive 19 test. Why is James Harden in every single conversation? I have no idea. So annoying. Lawyers in the Raptors' Terrence Davis criminal case. Have you heard about this, Speedy?
No. Terrence Davis is actually a vital part of that Raptors team, though, last year. So,
well, I'm not going to read the article. If you guys want to read it, I have no interest in it. So, Houston Rockets NBA reviewing James Harden strip club video. Why not? James Harden's all over the place. Maybe that's why he's trying to get traded, because he's just trying to put himself in the press so he could be rushed out of there. I don't know. MLB news, Tigers signed Dustin Garneau. What do you think about that?
Not really going to mean much. He's been a below average to average catcher his whole career.
Dodgers. Oh, hold on. All right. I'm going to go right here. All right. Tommy Kahnle agrees to a 2-year deal. Ex-New York Yankee agrees to the Dodgers. The Dodgers trying to rebuild that bullpen. Not to say much about it, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Last year, though. Give him credit.
NHL rumors and news. Nashville Predators sign Eric Holla. Yay. New Jersey Devils re-sign Mackenzie Blackwood for 3 seasons, $8.4 million. Yay. Vancouver Canucks hire Jason King and Chris Higgins. Well, if you guys don't know who Chris Higgins is, Long Island native. Well, they're bringing in a Long Island native.
Didn't you say you played against him, too?
Yes, he was my line mate, actually.
Oh, he played with you. Okay.
Nice. On Team USA Hockey. So, Yep. So, that's today in news, guys. I mean, there's really nothing more to say. I mean, the whole Trevor Lawrence thing has become a frenzy here in New York. That's for sure. And I know a lot of people are about to jump off a bridge. I had that segment the other day, and I'm not one of those people that are willing to just jump off a bridge just because the Jets aren't getting Trevor Lawrence, okay? I don't know what's going to happen by the end of the season. Nobody knows. We don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars will win in Chicago. I mean, the line went down to 3. We don't know if that's going to happen. We don't know if I said this yesterday. I said this on Monday. We don't know if Tennessee wins and the Colts lose. There's no way to reseed himself or move up, especially if Pittsburgh knocks off the Colts. There's no way the Colts are going to move up in the seeding or move down in the seeding. So why would they start their starters? So there could be a very good chance the Jacksonville Jaguars could be going into Week 17 against third-string players. So why would anybody think that Jacksonville for sure has the number 1 pick? That doesn't mean anything. And I don't see Doug Marrone trying to lose out the games. I really don't. Does anybody think that Doug Marrone is going to go out there? His job is in jeopardy. And if he plans to get another job after the Jaguars, they're not going to want to see this guy completely give up because the owner wants this. The owner wants, or the mayor or the governor of Jacksonville thinks the Jets gave him a freebie and they're getting Trevor Lawrence, and it's all set in stone. There's nothing set in stone yet that Trevor Lawrence will be a Jacksonville Jaguar, okay? Because that doesn't mean anything. Now, if Jacksonville was smart, they would try to lose out every single game. But in the NFL, and this has something to do with the players play for contracts. That's what they play for. They don't know if they're going to have a job next year. And if Jacksonville decides to lose out the rest of the season just so they can get Trevor Lawrence, which honestly, one player is not going to make a difference to the organization. It really isn't. This organization needs to be rebuilt. I like some of the moves that they made in the draft last year, but all in all, Jacksonville has not looked good this year. And for anybody to think that Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville sets him up better than going to the New York Jets, boy, oh boy, you guys are going to be surprised in watching Trevor Lawrence for the next 4 or 5 years in Jacksonville. No success there either. So now a lot of people yesterday watched BYU play. A lot of people. Zach Wilson had one of his best games of the season in a ball game, played UCF, where UCF was ranked 8th in the country before the season started this year and completely fell off, not because of talent, really because of coaching, aka you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Lane Kiffin, but that's just a whole nother world and another conversation. But yesterday, everybody got a chance to see what Zach Wilson can do. And Zach Wilson, who has proven that he could be accurate, he's got a good arm, 6'3", same size as Sam Darnold. Reminds me personality of Baker Mayfield. He doesn't hold back on what he says. Would he fit very well in New York? I always thought that Baker Mayfield would fit in New York. So yes, I do believe Zach Wilson would fit very, very well in New York because of the way he speaks and the way he just doesn't care to speak to the press and how he feels about most of the things. But he's not Baker Mayfield. He doesn't throw himself under the bus. He doesn't run around a university naked. I mean, he doesn't do any of those things. He's not taking their flag and sticking it into the middle of the center of somebody else's field, dancing around and chanting stupid crap that he chanted in Oklahoma. He's not like that. Zach Wilson is not like that. But what we saw yesterday was Zach Wilson completely dominate a team that he was so much superior against. Now, over 400 yards. I think he threw for 4 or 5 touchdowns. He was unbelievable. He was absolutely unbelievable. He was throwing balls all over the place, putting them in spots that very few quarterbacks can put him in. He was fantastic.
I think he had 330 yards in the first half alone, which is insane. And 5 touchdowns.
He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. And for that game, he could move up. He could very much move up in the draft all the way to number 2.
Absolutely. You're right where UCF isn't the same as what they were and what they were supposed to be at the start of the season. But again, they also play in a tougher conference in the AAC. They're not the like pushover group of 5 conference. Cincinnati was a legitimate team. SMU, Memphis, teams like that were legitimate teams. So UCF wasn't losing to this scrap heap team. And remember, UCF also just competed with Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago too. So Zach Wilson played very well against, again, more of an offensive team, but still a very good team overall too. He could elevate himself to number 2, and who knows, maybe the Jaguars are crazy if they don't get the number 1 pick, because remember, they don't have a GM in place right now.
No, and I know everybody keeps saying, well, there were stories coming out, and shout out to Josh, who reached out to me before the show, and he told me that an insider says that no matter what happens with Justin Fields versus Clemson, if the Jets draft at number 2, they're drafting Justin Fields. Okay, but I don't believe that. You can't honestly tell me by not going to the combine and seeing what these guys can do in their pro days and say automatically Justin Fields is going to be the number 2 pick. Now, if Justin Fields knocks off Clemson in the Rose Bowl and then goes to the national title game and knocks off Alabama, yes, Justin Fields is going number 2. There's not even going to be an argument or any disrespect going upon not drafting Zach Wilson at number 2. But a lot of people, including Josh, thinks that Zach Wilson, doing what he did in the ball game last night absolutely moved him up in draft stock. Now, was I impressed with Zach Wilson? Yes. Have I seen Zach Wilson play a lot this season? The answer would be no. Okay, I didn't watch a lot of college football this year. I mean, my Seminoles stink. So what do I have to watch? I mean, seriously, I watch the Clemson Tigers win all the time. Alabama win all the time. There's nothing to watch. Ohio State's usually, if they're not in the Fab Four, they're ranked in the top 10. We see usually all the top teams are normally ranked in the top 10 that usually have the opportunity to get into that 4-team playoff. But Zach Wilson showed everybody on why everybody believes that he could be the best quarterback going into this draft class. Now, Trevor Lawrence is the generational guy. Everybody, and I'm one of those guys that love Trevor Lawrence. And I'm going to say it over and over again. I believe Trevor Lawrence is a generational type of talent. But that doesn't mean Zach Wilson can't be. That doesn't mean that Justin Fields can't be a generational type of talent either. What I do know is we've been talking about quarterbacks year in and year out for the last 4 years. And honestly, there's really only 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks that really stood out to me out of all the quarterbacks that were drafted. And I want to hear about Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield plays for a talented offensive team that has a great running game, and a decent offensive line, which, by the way, they added Jack Conklin in the offseason. So it's not Baker Mayfield. It's Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, and if you want, and obviously Patrick Mahomes. Those are the only 4 guys that you can honestly, in the last 3 or 4 years, that you can pick out of the draft class that really stands out to you to be superstars, generational type of talented players that can absolutely win every single year when they step on the field with their team. But I don't know what to expect with Zach Wilson. He played a UCF team that went from 8th to I don't even know where they were.
They haven't been ranked since.
They haven't been ranked. I mean, they were ranked in the first 5 weeks or 4 weeks.
Not but not even 8th though. Because they lost pretty badly. I think they fell maybe to 22 or something like that after that, and then I don't think they've been ranked since.
The fact is, right now, where do the Jets go at number 2 if the Jets do draft at number 2? Well, the answer is I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to play God to the New York Jets and Joe Douglas and what Joe Douglas is thinking in his brain right now, because the season isn't over yet. And for all you Jet fans that have been taking shots at the organization because they finally won their first game of the season, because players don't give up. Players don't throw games. They don't, because they're fighting for a contract. They're fighting to find a new job if they're not going to be a part of that organization the year after. They're not going to give up a game where, the owner tells us that we have to lose. You think they're going to lose the game? They're going to go out in there and play. And if they lose, they lose. And if they win, they win. You think that Jacksonville's going to go out against Chicago and not try to win the game on Sunday? I guarantee you they're going to go out there and try to win that game. No matter what the governor says or the mayor says in Jacksonville. They're going to go out there. Doug Marrone's going to lose his job. Doug Marrone wants another job. So what does Doug Marrone have to show? He's got to show that this team is not giving up on him, that they're still playing for him. And if they win, it shows Doug Marrone has done his job. He's pushing the players the way a coach needs to push their players.
And maybe he can be shown he can be trusted on another team too, with other young players.
Absolutely, aka the New York Jets, if they're interested in Doug Marrone. So, to me, it doesn't throw me off to think that the season is not over, and it doesn't mean that the Jets can't still get Trevor Lawrence. Now, if I were to choose right now between between Justin Fields and Zach Wilson, I'm sorry, I'm still going with Justin Fields. I'm still going with the guy that is the higher ranked talent, the better all around talent quarterback that came out of high school, the number 1 recruiter, the recruitment when it came to quarterbacks. He was a higher ranked player than Trevor Lawrence. So to give up on a talented player of that magnitude, you can't. You can't just give up on a player like that. I don't care where he plays, Ohio State or not Ohio State. But Zach Wilson was fabulous yesterday. Fantastic. Does he deserve to move up in the draft? He's going to move up in the draft. And don't be surprised if New England is sitting there at number 11 or 12 or 13. They don't draft Zach Wilson. They're going to. They're absolutely going to draft a quarterback in this year's draft class. And if Zach Wilson is sitting there, I don't know where New England is drafting right now, probably 11 or 12 or somewhere.
It was 10 last time I checked.
They're going to draft Zach Wilson. They're going to, to me, he's the 3rd best quarterback in this draft class now. He moved all the way up to 3rd.
Yeah, the other interesting part is, would a team like Carolina, a team like Atlanta, considering that now, knowing that their quarterbacks are kind of unknown right now, could they possibly do that as well before New England, if they're worried New England's going to steal them? And also, is that going to entice teams to trade up too? You wonder if Wilson could even go in the top 5 of one of these teams, maybe that looking for quarterback of the future, that maybe if they miss out on Sam Darnold or a quarterback like that.
You want to hear a sick thing the Jets should do? This is going to be great. You ready to hear this? This is a double flop for the New York Jets. What I would do if I was the Jets, if I'm drafting at number 2, people are going to love this one. I would trade down to whatever team, Carolina, New England, any one of those teams want to trade up at 2. Okay? That's what I would do. So I will get an extra first-round draft pick next year, and I would get their pick. So let's say Carolina wants to move up to 2 to get Justin Fields. You move down to 4. And then there are other teams. Who's the other team right behind Carolina? The Atlanta. And what I would do, I would reach out to New England, and I would tell New England, listen, you want Zach Wilson? We'll give you Zach Wilson. We will trade down. We will take the number 10 pick, and we will get your first-round draft pick this year and your first-round draft pick next year. Now you did a double whammy. You still have your first-round draft pick this year. You still have your first-round draft, and you just added 3 first-round draft picks. 3. All in a double deuce, giving up Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, and you keep Sam Darnold for 1 more year and see with a new coach if you can get Sam Darnold back on track, which quite possibly could happen because I still think Sam has the talent to be a good quarterback in this league. So then you pretty much rebuilt everything from making those trades. Rebuild. You'll probably get more than just a first-round draft pick from Carolina. You'll probably get their first round this year and their first round next year and maybe a third or something like that. You're going to get a lot to move up from 4 to 2 because Justin Fields there. And if New England wants to move 10 to 2, they're going to have to give up a significant amount to get Justin Fields.
I don't see the Patriots doing that. I could definitely see Carolina though, because they're the team that definitely could use that new identity, college coach, young team. I could see them doing that kind of move for sure. That big franchise move that they've needed in a while since Cam Newton when they drafted him number 1.
There's so much the Jets can do now, knowing that they're drafting at 2, but we don't know if that's going to happen by the end of this week. I mean, Jacksonville can go into Chicago and knock Chicago off. Absolutely knock them right on their ass. And I could see it happening. Mitchell Trubisky, the last couple of weeks has not looked good. And he's been throwing the ball in windows that have gotten him into trouble. And even though Jacksonville's defense has not looked good week in and week out the last couple of weeks, especially against the Ravens, I can see who's dangerous besides Allen Robinson on Chicago. Who really scares you on Chicago? The answer is nobody. Montgomery? There's nobody. There's nobody right now that really stands out to me for Chicago that you could say, oh my God, besides Allen Robinson. So what does that tell me? If you stop Allen Robinson, you have a chance to win the game. That's pretty much what I see going into Chicago on Sunday. Now, I don't know what Doug Marrone is doing. I don't know if the owner of the team says, you know what, Doug, we'll keep you for another year. Let's just lose out for the rest of the season so we can get Trevor. I don't know. And you'll know right away if Jacksonville is playing hard or they're not. You'll know right away by the way the game is swinging. If the game is close, you know they're going to play hard and they're going to play all the way to the end of the game. All the way to the end of the game. And who knows, the owner reaching out to Marrone with 3 minutes left of the game and they're up by 6 and they give up a touchdown. I could see that happening and it could screw everything up because that's something that, I believe in football to happen. It's happened before. I think that owners, I think that the commissioner, I think executives have played a big part in certain games on who's going to win and who's going to lose, especially in the playoffs. But that's just my opinion. But all in all, as a Jet fan, are you happy going into week 16 this week? The answer is no. You wouldn't be happy. You won a game last week against one of the best teams in the league, shocked the world, and lost the number 1 pick. That's what you did last week. Did the Jets do the right thing? As a fan, absolutely. Anybody that sits here and tells me the Jets were wrong for what they did, how could you tell a player that's making millions and millions of dollars that don't know if they're going to have a job next year not to play the game and try to win the game so they can keep their contract? You'd be lying. Okay. And as a fan of sports and as an athlete, an ex-athlete, I wouldn't do that either, no matter if I got the number 1 pick or not. And that's why the NFL needs to fix this. These rules, the softest schedule gets the number 1 pick if you have the same record. How is that fair? So the team that has the hardest schedule, that has to deal with the hardest schedule all season long, where they can lose every single game because of their schedule, they don't get a chance to get the number 1 pick because the one that has the easy schedule, because they're playing the easier teams, that's not fair. That's not fair. I believe the league needs to change this so it makes it more interesting at the end of the season. This doesn't make it interesting because right now, going to week 16, if Jacksonville loses out, they get the number 1 pick. That is not fair, especially if they land with the same record as the New York Jets. That is not fair to the New York Jets. They had to deal with the hard season that they had and the hard schedule they have. And look at the league. Look at the division they're in now with the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins and even the Patriots that had 6 or 7 wins. That's not fair to the New York Jets. That's not fair. So that's my argument here. The NFL needs to change the rules here. They do, because it's not fair.
Well, the tiebreakers are the same for the playoffs too and the draft. And are you going to reward a team with an easier schedule though? With that, in that case too, though,
I don't know. I think the NFL needs to figure out another way to decide. If you have the same record as another team, you cannot say because they have the easier record they get the number 1 pick. That's not fair. That's not fair. You got to find another way, another advantage. Maybe I don't know. Offensive. How many touchdowns? I don't know. Whatever the NFL tries to figure it out or tries to, because then the team plays for that at the end of the season. If you're down by 2 touchdowns and the other team has 49 touchdowns for the season, and all you need to do is score 3 touchdowns and the other team only gets 1 touchdown, you have a tiebreaker. Then you find another tiebreaker. You got to play at the end of the season. The Jaguars aren't playing to do nothing but lose to get the number 1 pick. And that's not fair to the Jets. They play to win because they're trying to keep their contracts, and these players are trying to keep their contracts. It's false. I think it's wrong. It's ridiculous. And the NFL needs to figure this out. I don't agree with it. I really don't. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, at 6:30, we will be talking to NFL prospect and podcaster, yes, long snapper Joe DeLeone. Am I right? DeLeone, or is it DeLeone?
DeLeone.
DeLeone. You see, this is something that you should be giving me when we go before we come into the show. But when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking to podcaster and long snapper NFL prospect Joe DeLeone here on the great Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh, at least I'm dancing and having a good time. The Jets aren't. That's for damn sure. But I am. I'm a Jet fan. But it is what it is. That's life. We got to move on, maybe with Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or something else. And I was wrong. This isn't Down to the Wire. This is Below the Mic. We are live every single Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. And remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app, iOS, WWSRN, or Android. Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Wonderful, isn't it? Nice, sweet beat, song. Gave a little Jets thoughts before we get our special guest on the phone. Well, actually on our video feed. But I will say this. Any Jet fan that thinks that the Jets were going to go out there and try to lose, they didn't try to lose against Oakland. They didn't try to lose against New England. It was just bad play calling, a.k.a. Adam Gase, the big idiot, okay? The quarterback guru coach, the moron, the dumbass, googly-eyed, dumb duty, whatever you want to call him. He should have been the one running to the bathroom, not Lamar Jackson. That's for damn sure. This team is just an absolute joke. And as a Jet fan, I am not upset that the Jets won the game. I am upset that after the game, the way people were taking shots at the Jets, because a whole single last 3 or 4 or 5 months, everybody keeps saying that why would Trevor Lawrence want to come out of the draft to go and play for the New York Jets? All this crap that you heard, and then all of a sudden the Jets lose the number 1 pick, and oh my God, Trevor, get out of your seat. Don't go to senior class. Go play for Jacksonville. Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars are that much better. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. It's a joke. Why does everybody hate the New York Jets? That's what I want to know. Let's do a survey on our social media. Why does everybody hate the New York Jets? It's ridiculous. Anyways, that is my spiel. Well, we have a first guest. I'm sorry I took off some of his time, but we're not. We're going to keep him on as long as we absolutely possibly can. We are now talking to long snapper and podcaster Joe DeLeone. What's going on, Joe?
Not much. Thanks for taking the time to have me on. It was interesting getting to hear your your thoughts on the Trevor Lawrence Jets situation. I didn't realize Jets fans were this frustrated, but I can understand why.
Well, you play college football, and I will
Right.
say this. You're a podcaster, and I'm sure you're talking about this. And believe it or not, we're a live radio station out here and all the different shows. A lot of people are sticking up for the Jets. A lot of the people on our network are sticking up for the Jets. But other networks, they will all, Stephen A. Smith, you listen to Max Kellerman, what a joke organization. Why would they try to win the game? They should have fired Adam Gase. The reason why you kept Adam Gase was not to win games. All this crap that you're hearing. And you see that these players are actually working and playing for this coach. Nevertheless, if you don't like Adam Gase, you hate Adam Gase, and Adam Gase is the worst coach in NFL history, which he is. The players are still playing for him. So, Joe, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
Not doing too bad. Hiring for finding work and stuff like that's been a little bit complicated in the sports media sphere, as nobody's really hiring full time right now. But just trying to hang in there. We're almost around the corner, and I'm sure everything for everybody right now is going to be getting better sometime soon.
Well, I will tell you this. I never talked to you. I never talked to you on the phone. I've ever seen any of your shows. But I'm going to definitely listen to you. You know why? Because you have a great radio voice. Okay.
Thank you.
Do, man. And you can see that you're professional, and and we're going to get into some football conversation. We will talk about the Jets with you and Trevor Lawrence. But first things first, tell us a little bit about your college career. You now are done with school, and you're still looking for a job in the NFL as a long snapper. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was a long snapper at the University of Rhode Island. I first started playing when I was a freshman. Originally was the backup my freshman year, had no expectation of playing, thought I was redshirting, even considered transferring at that point. Starter ahead of me gets hurt, and then I start the next 39 consecutive games. And when you start 39 straight games, you start to build that consistency, really settle into the position. And that was my big calling card when I finished up my career at URI, was that I was consistent, that I was always going to get the ball where it needed to be. I never had any issues. Maybe I wasn't the best athlete like some of these other guys that were a little bit more high priority, but I was always on point, consistent, right where it needed to be. when I started out in the draft process, the process of becoming a UDFA, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. I honestly had no expectations for how good I was. I wasn't really sure because I hadn't really gotten a ton of feedback. But as I started to go through it and I started to realize, and I was going to different various events with other guys that were in my draft class that were part of the long snapper group, I was starting to realize I actually have somewhat of a shot to do this. I ended up signing with an agent. Had some minor communications with a couple teams, and I think I would have had an opportunity to possibly have gone to maybe a rookie mini camp had there actually been rookie mini camps, but because of COVID and the pandemic, those things were canceled. So those activities were canceled. I had the opportunity to go to local days. Those were canceled. I had a workout schedule that was canceled. All that stuff was completely taken out from under me. I'm not bitter about it. It's just everything that happened. The good thing about being a long snapper and being a specialist is there's a long window, a much longer window to make it into the NFL and some of these other leagues compared to other positions. You'll see guys that are 4 or 5 years even removed from playing in college that will eventually get that opportunity down the line. One guy that I point to, Joe Fortunato, who he had an invite to be on the Cowboys roster for training camp, and I think he was there very briefly, but he's 4 years removed from playing at the University of Delaware, snapping there. So I'm still optimistic. I just had surgery to fix something in my pec. I'm still trying to get back in, where I need to be in order to impress some of these scouts. But I know that it's a long journey. It's not like I'm a running back and my time frame is done. I'm still working towards that opportunity to keep playing.
So, Joe, you mentioned how long your career can be as a long snapper, and also the gap between it in terms of the training. I guess you coming straight out of college, the way it was. Explain that kind of process even further, and also the process of how you became a long snapper. Is it something that came overnight? Is it something that was you trained on when you were in high school? And again, how valuable do you think it is because it's a longevity position? The team you cover now, the Giants, had a long time one with Zach Diassi. The Eagles had one with John Dornbos for a long time. So go through that whole process.
I was originally a center when I was in middle school, and when you're an offensive lineman in middle school, everybody's the same size, except when you're Rashawn Gary, who I faced when I was in middle school, who was the same size he was then as he is now. He was 6'5", 300 pounds when we were in 8th grade. But when you're an offensive lineman in middle school and you're playing center, you get really used to that snapping motion. And I always took a lot of pride in being good at doing that. I get to high school, I'm not as big and as strong as some of the other guys on my team. So I then started to shift my focus in realizing I take a lot of pride in being consistent, just snapping shotgun, just 5 yards. And I was already long snapping, but not with the proper professional technique. I was just one-handing it like you see a lot of high school guys do. As I started to realize if I put the work in and I bust my butt here and I really work towards this, I can have the opportunity to earn a scholarship and play in college. And that was exactly what happened. Worked really hard, had that opportunity.
Yeah. So, by the way, we are talking to podcaster, long snapper, hopefully very, very soon in the NFL, Joe DeLeone. Now, Joe, let's move away from long snapping. Let's talk about a little bit about your podcast. What made you decide to start radio? I mean, a lot of people want to do a podcast. Everybody and their mother are doing a podcast. I mean, you can step back and you sit there, and my grandmother's sitting there, and she doesn't know how to use the machine, but she's talking on her phone. She has a podcast. But everybody. But what made you decide, you know what, I love talking sports. I love talking football. I love talking life. I want to do a podcast. I want to put a podcast out there so people can listen to it.
I started out really early on knowing that I wanted to work in sports media when I was in high school. I wanted to be like Mel Kiper and Todd McShay. That was what I was aspiring to be. Or Matt Miller was another guy that I looked up to. And as I was starting to work towards that, I knew immediately where I was going to play football had to have a journalism program. And as soon as I got to URI, I did as much as I could to get involved. I started a sports media club there. I picked up, and a buddy of mine, they had just built a state-of-the-art recording studio for audio recording. People were using it to record music, but me and my roommate, who was an offensive lineman at the University of Rhode Island, his name's Sean Anderson. He currently works for SiriusXM. He also works in the audio industry. We just decided to hop in there, goof around, and figure out how to do it. And that just one thing led to another. Us consistently doing that. Eventually, after doing it for a year, reaching out to the Believe Podcast Network and offering to do a show with them. covering FCS football. That then just led to more and more opportunities as I've reached out to people here and there. Now I work for SB Nation. I cover the Giants. And then additionally working with Locked On Podcast Network, which I started back in November.
Well, I will tell you this: our producer over there with his smirk on his face. As soon as you heard the Giants, the little smirk went on his face. I mean, I want to. If I could take a shoe right now and throw it through my screen, I would do that. Okay, Joe, I would do that. But, so go ahead, Speedy. Ask away about the Giants because I know you're waiting to say that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about just your whole journey with that now working for the Giants. I mean, what have been some of the memorable things so far? I mean, this has been a season that was, I mean, we expect them to be kind of bad. They're really a little better than expected, but again, a nice young team that they've got going now. I mean, what are some of the takeaways that you've had, and what are some of the specific things you've done with the players, with coaches so far for your articles, for your podcast that you've done so far?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the content that I produce is mostly audio, but I do actually do from time to time. I consider myself the resident special teams expert with Big Blue View. So I'll typically do a lot of special teams breakdowns. I literally just did a video last week, if anybody wants to go check it out, talking about how the punt coverage umbrella works and why the Giants right now are struggling to cover punts. A lot of that stuff, though, is mostly film breakdowns, just breaking down film, giving my takeaways. In terms of those takeaways, though, one thing that I really notice about this Giants team is they can build around having a really good, stout defense led by a very strong defensive coordinator. I don't think Patrick Graham is going to be a defensive coordinator that tries to leave after a year. I think he's going to stick around for two to three more years until he reaches what he's hoping to achieve with this team. As long as they can get Saquon Barkley back healthy, they can effectively run the football. I don't think this team needs Daniel Jones to be like Patrick Mahomes and play hero ball. He doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to be Kyler Murray. He just needs to be consistent. I keep saying that if he becomes Ryan Tannehill in 3 years, that is perfect for me because Saquon will likely stick around. If he stays healthy, he is a superstar running back that can lead your offense. And I know that sounds crazy in the modern NFL. You've got some teams that are moving towards creating passing offenses and moving away from star running backs. But Saquon is one of those few players that I really believe this team, if they can get him back, he's back healthy, their offense can flow like it's done over the last few weeks with him taking those carries.
As you guys know, we are talking to long snapper, a podcaster, I guess you could say he works for, SB Nation, right? SB Nation.
Yes.
For the New York Giants, Joe DeLeone. Now, Joe, you speak about the Giants, and I am not a Giant fan. And I'll sit here. I'm an analyst, so I love what Joe Judge is doing right now. I think he's sensational. He gives them a different breath of fresh air, something that the Giants haven't had since the early days of Tom Coughlin or Bill Parcells. The angry, outgoing, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I don't give a crap what you think. That's who Joe Judge is. And I love what he did with this defense. This defense has played well. He fires the line coach, the offensive line coach, and there were stories coming out from the New York Giants organization that they were fighting, but I don't believe that was true. I never thought that was true at all, by the way. But it was just a funny story because everybody in New York wants to find something to attack something about. So my question to you. You were talking about Saquon Barkley. I interviewed Saquon Barkley before he was drafted. I met his father. He's a diehard Jet fan. Diehard Jet fan. Saquon grew up in the Bronx, and he's a diehard Jet fan. Now, this injury, this significant injury, he tore his ACL and MCL. This is a bad injury for a guy that has really big legs, like tree trunks. I'm talking about Mike Tyson type of legs. And this guy runs through offensive lines. That's what he does. That's his strength. And he can do things on the outside that a lot of running backs we haven't seen since really the first 2 years of Gurley. So why do you think with this significant injury that you think Saquon Barkley will come back and be at the top of his game again?
Well, one thing I attribute for him coming back at full speed, this isn't like even the early 90s or way before that when an ACL was a death sentence. Modern medicine, I think, is at a point where you tear an ACL, these guys hop right back in. They're able to get back out there. Now, I know it's not an entire complete guarantee that you're going to come back at full speed, but the guy is a physical freak. He is a physical specimen that we haven't even seen at really any position. The way that he's able to move at his physical size, I have pretty good confidence a guy like him is going to be able to recover pretty quickly. And he's been banged up. He was dealing with his ankle injury last year, and he recovered way quicker than I think everybody expected. I have high expectations just based on who he is as an athlete. Because he's an elite athlete, he'll be able to come back at full strength, no problem.
So in terms of the approach now with Wayne Gallman playing really well this year, a lot better than anyone would have expected as not only just a pass catching back, but now a great runner too. What is the approach? Do they try to sell high on him if they're trusting that Saquon could come back? You try to hang on for another year just to be safe, maybe with the injuries. What do you think Dave Gettleman should do? Or even if Dave Gettleman's not there, the next GM, whoever that is, what do you think approach should be with Wayne Gallman and Saquon Barkley?
Definitely bring back Wayne Gallman. If something happens to Saquon Barkley in the future, you don't have to worry about who is that next running back. And I talked about during the offseason of maybe trying to pursue a different running back because Wayne Gallman was playing under expectations. But having a guy that can play at that high of a level when asked to step in is exactly what you want. You want to have that high-level guy who's going to take 30 touches a game in Saquon, but you always need somebody to put on the field when that star player needs a breather. And you want high-level backups. That is what winning football teams have. Teams that run the ball effectively don't just have one good player. They usually have multiple quality backups at that position. So if you have a guy like Wayne Gallman, in any instance that Saquon has to come out for a few plays, or even if he has to sit out a game, Wayne Gallman is the type of player that I want. I don't want to have to start over and go find somebody else. I know Alfred Morris for a fact and Devonta Freeman are not the future of that backup spot. Maybe you go and draft somebody this year, but I'd much rather fill and fix other positions before I go and do anything else when you have a clear-cut, pretty good backup.
You know what's funny? We talking about running backs and all that other stuff, especially with the Giants. And again, you're a Giants guy, and I laugh at it because I'm thinking of the Jets right now. I have to think about the Jets. And all week since they won that game on Sunday, Jet fans are just jumping off a bridge. Everybody wants to kill themselves. They're like, you should see what I'm reading all over social media. I'm not even a social media guy, Joe. I don't even go on social media because I think it's just all rubbish. It's all crazy content that people just want to spew whatever they want to spew out. And the season's not even over yet. Jacksonville hasn't even finished their season yet. They're going into Chicago this week. They went from the line went from 7.5 to 3, okay, in a week. All of a sudden, Jacksonville has a chance to win this game, and we don't know, and I was just saying that in my first monologue, we don't know if Tennessee wins this week and the Colts lose this week, there's no reseeding for the Colts. They can't go higher, they can't go lower. So what are the Colts going to do? They're going to sit out every single one of their starters in week 17. What does that give? That gives Jacksonville a chance to win a game. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this garbage that I'm listening to, all these fans wanting to kill themselves. It doesn't make, and I will say this, Trevor Lawrence is a generational type of quarterback. Love the kid. I think he's going to be sensational. But for anybody to think that him going to Jacksonville would be better than going to New York, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And anybody that thinks that Trevor Lawrence would rather go to Jacksonville than go to New York is even more ridiculous, because he's got a chance to go to a big city where he could become a superstar with his beautiful hair, his beautiful shampoo, and he could go out there and be the next Broadway Joe, the next big superstar in New York, something that we've been lacking since Derek Jeter. So my question to you, do you think right now, if the Jets don't get the number 1 pick, should Jet fans jump off a bridge, or should they sit back and hope that Joe Douglas will do exactly what he did in last year's draft, and that's land almost every single one of his picks and hit on every single one of his picks?
I think you need to definitely take that step back and relax. Understandably, it's frustrating if you can't get Trevor Lawrence, but there's still a quality crop of guys at the top of the draft. You have Justin Fields. Zach Wilson has been more and more promising. I actually don't hate the possibility of maybe trading back. And I know that's something maybe Jets fans don't want to hear right now, but if you're not in that position to go grab the super generational player that is going to be an instant impact player, if you're not 100% sold on Justin Fields and you think maybe Zach Wilson is going to be available a few picks later, trade back to somebody who is extremely desperate, that is seemingly more desperate somehow than the Jets are right now, and really, really want Justin Fields. And you can possibly fleece that whoever that is, for a couple quality picks. And we saw the Jets do that a few years ago with the trade that ended up netting them additional picks in the second round. You might as well do things like that to get yourself extra capital. I think it's worth considering, and I think a lot more people need to be willing to see something like that happen.
So back to the Giants now. I saw some Twitter.
The Giants again? Why the Giants? We're getting
you had enough Jets time for today. You had your Jets time today. So
really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was interesting. You were defending a lot of the things that Joe Judge was doing. A lot of fans were bashing him for some of the decisions he made in that game, the fake field goal being the biggest one. And obviously you being a long snapper, you have a lot of insights with the special teams in particular and a lot of different things that they do strategy wise. So just go over some of the reasonings of why you were thinking like that and why you're defending Judge when a lot of fans were attacking him and saying that was the worst game he's ever coached so far.
Well, I think the people that were mad at him failed any rudimentary level of math in middle school. I don't think that they realize 2 field goals in those situations makes the game 20-12. It's frustrating because fans don't have any cyclical insight or like when they try to analyze things, they just get mad that there were no points put on the board. I think fans need to be more realistic and understanding of what goes into a football game. You're playing a Cleveland Browns team that put up 40 points against the Baltimore Ravens. You're already playing them well. You're not going to win this game with 4 field goals. You need to be more worried about the fact that they weren't able to score on those drives and they were forced into those 4th down situations. I'm not worried about that stuff. I'd rather lose a game 20-6, taking serious risks to possibly win the game than lose a game 20-12. I think losing 20-12 is an overly conservative approach to coaching a game. And I think that's honestly a loser's mentality just to get 12 points on the board.
Well, that's it for the Giants question, Speedy, because I'm done with it. Okay. I've heard enough Giant questions here. I just want to go quickly throughout the NFL and your thoughts, Joe. By the way, we're talking to podcaster and great as far as SB Nation. If you haven't checked out his podcast, go to Big Blue View. And we're talking to Joe DeLeone, a guy that is a long snapper trying to get back and have the opportunity to play for an NFL team. And I absolutely believe if you put your mind to it, Joe, you can do anything you want. And I do believe you will be playing in the NFL and you're doing what Russell Wilson is doing during the week. I mean, during the week, he's practicing and doing his podcast, and on the weekend, he's playing football. So, and I love what Russell Wilson is doing. So I want to go through a couple of teams that stand out to me so far at the end of the season and tell me if you think they're Super Bowl contenders or pretenders. Are you ready?
Right. Yep. Ready.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, I've been watching the last couple of weeks. They have been absolutely terrible. I don't know what's going on with them. They lost 2 very big defensive players, one of them being Bush, who I think is going to be a superstar player in the league. They've lost a significant amount. They brought in guys like Williamson. Avery Williamson looked horrible last night, absolutely horrible. So when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, where do you see them moving forward in the next 2 weeks?
I think that they're going to try and do whatever they can not to lose out of the spot that they're in right now. And in terms of them being a pretender or a contender or not, I think they're the biggest pretender out of any team that you can even bring up right now. They are not the same football team that they were at the beginning of the season. They had an elite defense. And I talked about earlier how if you have a good defense, you don't really need good quarterback play when I was referencing the Giants. But in this case, Ben Roethlisberger was just doing enough to keep them moving forward. One thing we're seeing right now with Ben Roethlisberger, he's regressing physically. He can't keep up with the full season. He can barely throw the football. He doesn't have that same arm strength as he did in his early 30s or even before that. I don't think their offense is built enough to have sustained success throughout the playoffs and through these final weeks. And then in addition to that, their defense is so banged up that they can't stop anybody right now. They couldn't stop the Bengals. So whoever they're facing in the first round, they're probably not going to have that bye. They are going to struggle.
The Browns have looked very, very good. I mean, even the game that they lost against the Ravens, I really thought they could have won that game. Chubb has been a beast. This running game has been the best, I believe, the best running game in all of football. They've been spectacular. And Myles Garrett has been a beast of a man. He is ripping apart offensive lines. He might as well jump over the offensive lines like Troy Polamalu did in the olden days. I mean, this guy has been unbelievable. He really has. When you look at the Browns and what they have done right now, this year has been spectacular with a new coach. They've had so many problems over the years on finishing the deal and finishing the way to get into the playoffs. When you look at the Browns, the next 2 weeks, do you think the Browns are pretenders or contenders moving forward?
I think they're contenders. They are in full stride right now. I had my doubts midway through the season, but what they've done effectively is filling the formula of success when you don't have the elite talent you need to have at, particularly the quarterback position. They run the ball very well. They set up play action extremely well when teams try to shut down their run game. We saw when that happened against the Giants. The Giants were so desperate to slow down the run game, and they were able to effectively do it, that they then were able to move the ball through the air through their play action passing game. Defensively, they're extremely stout. They're not easy to move the ball against. That is exactly what you need. You don't need, again, Baker Mayfield to be an elite player when you have a really good defense and a run game that helps facilitate everything offensively. They are a legitimate team, and I think some people don't want to admit that yet, but they have what you need to be successful in the playoffs.
NFC, and everybody they love Tampa Bay. Every single person and their mother. And when everybody heard Antonio Brown was going to Tampa, Super Bowl all the way, they're going everywhere. And they have not looked good the last couple of weeks. I don't care if they win or lose. They have not looked good. With all the talent on that team, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time that everybody says, which I do not believe is the greatest of all time. That's just my opinion. But with all the offense that they have and the defense, what they did early in the season, and really have fallen off in the second half of the season, do you think going into Week 16, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pretenders or contenders?
It's tricky to really evaluate them, but I'm going to still stick with contenders. What you need in the playoffs is a veteran quarterback. You need a guy that has been there before. This team has not reached that level of success yet, but as much as Tom Brady is 42 years old and not the same player he was before, this is still a pretty good defensive team. And on top of that, again, I think Tom Brady has what you need just to elevate the guys around you. They're probably not going to be an NFC championship team, but I think they'll still make the playoffs pretty easily. They're going to probably knock somebody off and surprise somebody in the first round. But beyond that, I don't see them making it much further.
All right. So before we let you go, Mr. DeLeone, I want to know your MVP this year, your rookie offensive player of the year, your rookie defensive player of the year, and your coach of the year.
First, MVP, and I know this is something that is not going to happen, but it has to be Derrick Henry. The man has been running over every single defense that he has faced against. There's, for some reason, a stigma against running backs when it comes to the MVP voting, but for him to have multiple 200-yard rushing games in one season is stupid in the current modern NFL, where running backs are continuously shuffled in and out of lineups by multiple teams. So I think Derrick Henry has proven to me that he is the best player on his team right now and the reason why the Titans have been successful. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I want to go with Justin Jefferson. He has been fantastic. He has played way outside expectation, and he is proving wrong all the teams that chose to go with all these other guys. He has been a fantastic receiver. I think he reminds me a ton of in terms of outperforming expectations. He reminds me a lot of Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's going to be that type of a player. He has that similar demeanor and swagger to him, and he is a fantastic receiver, and he's hard to cover. Defensive, I'm really tied up right now between Patrick Queen and Chase Young, but the way that Washington is playing right now is because of that defensive line, and the defensive line has been elevated by Chase Young in the rotation. I know his stats aren't right up where you need it to be a de facto defensive rookie of the year, but they're triple teaming him right now. They're double teaming him. Teams are doing whatever they can to slow him down, and he is taking up so much attention from opposing offensive lines. As far as coach of the year, I'm going to keep this simple. This is a little bit biased. I think Joe Judge deserves to be the coach of the year right now. If it's not Joe Judge, I think additionally Ron Rivera, for all the adversity that he's dealt with in the Washington football team the whole offseason. He has just recovered from cancer. It makes a lot of sense for me if he ends up winning the division and going to the playoffs. If it ends up being the Giants, I have to stick with my guy, Joe Judge.
As you guys know, that is Joe DeLeone, podcaster, long snapper, great friend of the show, a fan of sports, and we're all a fan of sports. But as soon as you said Joe Judge, you saw Speedy's head just pop right up. Pop right up. This Giant fan. I listen, are you a Giant fan? Did you grow up a Giant fan?
Yes, I did. I am a Giants fan.
So there you go. You're two buddies, two peas in a pod. Follow each other on Twitter. Just kidding. But you want to know something? I have nothing against the Giants. I actually think Joe Judge has been sensational. I don't think he's the coach of the year. I would take Brian Flores. What he did with Miami this year has been sensational. I think he's been incredible. Ever since he's gone to that organization, he's changed everything. He really has changed everything. And Tua, everybody keeps talking about Tua. It's not Tua that's winning these games. It's their defense. Their defense is flawless. This defense is going to be scary. This team makes the playoffs, which they're more than likely is going to make the playoffs. They are a scary, scary team in the AFC. I think they can surprise a lot of people. I wouldn't even be so surprised if they get out of the first round. So they've been sensational. As far as defensive player of the year, McQueen, I think McQueen has been the best defensive player as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you're right. Young has been sensational really in the second half of the season. They wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for Chase Young. He's been sensational. And offensive player of the year, rookie of the year, I would go with the same player that you went, and that's Justin Jefferson. He's been sensational, really unbelievable. But I also would go with Edwards from the Chiefs. He's been sensational too. He's been unbelievable as well offensively. So, and as far as MVP, well, I'm going to say it, and I'll say it over and over again. It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been sensational. He stayed healthy this year. I don't know how Green Bay is at they're the number one seed right now in the NFC. I have no idea, but it's all because of one player. That's Aaron Rodgers. He makes, I believe, when you give somebody the MVP, he is the most valuable player to his team. And Aaron Rodgers is the most valuable player to his team because you put any quarterback besides Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson on that team, they will fail. They will fail. That team stinks, okay? That team is not going anywhere in the playoffs. I'm telling you right now, there is no way in hell the Green Bay Packers are going to the Super Bowl this year because that team they have so many dimensions on their team that are so lack of, as far as their secondary. Everybody keeps talking about how great their secondary is. They have one good secondary player, and the rest of the secondary is, and their defensive line, they never play well in the big game. They never play well in the big game. So I want to see the Green Bay Packers do it and have all three of them play well. The special teams, the defense, and the offense. When that happens, then we can talk about the Green Bay Packers. Joe, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
So, folks, you can follow me at Joe DeLeone, straight up. There's no numbers or anything on there. DELEONE. And also just make sure to check out Big Blue View. If you are a Giants fan, you can just go to bigblueview.com.
You know what? I'm not a Giant fan, but I'm going to watch you, man. You look like a good dude. You know what you're talking about. And I want you to come on again. I think you're great. I really do. And by the way, the clouds behind you, awesome, man. Professional. I said professional, but whatever. I will tell you this. I have not slept for 24 hours. It's crazy right now here in New York with Christmas right around the corner. I work at a hospital during the day. It's ridiculous, man. And I'm there for almost 8 or 9 hours. It's nonstop. The COVID-19, shout out to all the nurses and the doctors and the hospitals that are putting all the time in for all the stuff that's gone on in the past year and the work they've put into it. It's incredible. I don't think people know what is going on behind the scenes. I've been seeing it. It's scary. I don't think anybody takes this COVID-19 very seriously. I really don't. Take it seriously. I didn't take it seriously in the beginning. Thank God I never got it, but there are so many people that lost their loved ones. There's so many people that have lost their jobs. There was businesses that have fallen under. It's incredible how us as Americans, and you know this, Joe, us as Americans, we got to stick together. There's just so much of a crisis going on right now, and everybody fighting and civil arguments and with the presidency and political and this and the Democratic and Republicans. Why can't we just all work together? We're all one. We're all together as one, as people, as the United States. And it's just sad what's going on in the world. And I just hope Joe and us talking sports and just being on the radio and trying to entertain people, hopefully we can change things by using our voices and our platforms to do that. So, Joe, thank you for joining us, bud. We're definitely going to get you on again. I definitely want to talk about Big Blue, and maybe some way or another, the New York Giants sneak in and make the playoffs. And if that happens, you Giant fans are just going to be jumping over computers, jumping over horses, and just having fun. Because as soon as you mentioned the Giants, this kid right up there just was having a ball asking you questions. He can ask you questions all day long on what you think about the Giants. So I'm sure
I had about 5 left. I didn't even get to.
Well, you can reach out to him on his social media, and I'm sure he'll answer any questions you have, Speedy.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, thank you again for having me on. Looking forward to, reach out. I'll definitely come back on again. This was fun.
Absolutely. And we'll have some fun next time. We'll play some games with you. I'd like to see if you can, how much trivia you really do know. How old are you, by the way, Joe?
I'm 22.
Oh, you're a baby. You guys are baby. Oh my God. Every time I come on this show, I hear some of you guys, even some of these podcasters or any of these analysts that are ex-football players and stuff like that. They tell me they're in their 20s. I'm 38 years old, man. And I just feel older and older when I hear your name, your ages and just where you're from. I mean, seriously, but and how far you've gone.
Don't worry, you'll always have the one coach, Jerry Oaks, that shares your exact birthday.
That's right. You know, it's funny. I'll tell you a quick story. We interviewed the Pittsburgh baseball coach, and it's so funny. We were talking, and the interview was great. And then after the interview, I said, he told me he was at the same baseball game for the no-hitter. You remember this, Speedy? The no-hitter. No, it was the World Series.
Yeah, David Wells.
No, David
Wells.
Wells. The perfect game. The David Wells perfect game. We were at the same game at the same time in practically the same area. Okay. And I said, well, what's your birthday? He says, April. I said, is it late April or early April? He says, late April. I says, tell me your birthday is not April 29th. And he says, my birthday is April 29th. and then he says, I said, how old are you? He says, I'm 38. He says, so wait a second. You were born in the same year, same day, and you were at the same game in the same area of me. It's incredible. It really is. It's deja vu. And you want to know something? We kind of look like each other too. I mean, it is crazy, man. It really is. But I really appreciate you joining us. Shout out to Jillian. You're a great man. Keep up the good work. I will be in touch with you, and we would love to get you back on.
Thanks. Sounds good. I'll look forward to coming back on.
Long snapper, podcaster, Big Blue, radio voice of the podcast show. Yes, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Great interview by Joe DeLeone. Oh, yes. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to who's Speedy? And your mic is off. Thank you, Speedy. We will be talking to well, go ahead, Speedy. Speak.
UTSA, that is University of Texas San Antonio, middle linebacker recruit Noah Mitchell.
As you guys know, you can listen to us every single Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. When we come back, Noah Mitchell here on Below the Mic.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh, I love this track. You know, R&B, I love 112, man. I DJ'd in those times where I was spinning all over CPIs here in Long Island and throughout the country. And this track was, this was a panty dropper for the women, okay? Yes, Noah, this is a panty dropper for the women. I had to play it. And this is for you, Noah. This is for you going over there and playing some football. And you want to know something? That's just who I am. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday from 6 p.m. To 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Remember, you can listen to our shows all over our network every single day. How do you do that? You go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradionetwork. And remember, you can download our app. Yes, you can download our app. It's not very hard. And if it is, Speedy can beat you on the head with his shoe or something. I don't know. All you have to do is go to iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Yes. I had to play that panty dropping song. It was really, really personal to me. And, I'm trying to give everybody a little bit of thought on what music needs to be again. I just think music is just absolutely horrendous. So I had to add a little bit of my touch. Speedy's touch is terrible. He's terrible when it comes to the instrumentals. So anyways, our second guest, I've been reading a little bit about him. Very, very interesting kid. And we've interviewed some of the top recruits in the country. So I'm very excited to interview this young one over here. We are now talking to, yes, UTSA inside linebacker commit, Noah Mitchell. What's going on, Noah?
Not much. How are y'all doing?
Well, I'm good, man. And I can tell you're down south, and we all are doing good. I tried to give you some panty droppers. If you have any thoughts to some of the music that I'm giving you, you can write it down and put it on your charts. And then maybe one day you can, dance around with some of the beautiful women that you're going to see at UTSA. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, whatever. How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
Good. Just trying to get through it. And, but nothing's really changed down here. I mean, masks, that's about it.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of masks over here. We had a lot of mass snow a couple of days ago, and I was doing some snow angels and throwing snowballs at Speedy's head. My producer over there, who's not producing the show, I'm producing the show, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, man. But I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to entertain for all the Christmas lovers over there. Merry Christmas and a happy damn New Year. Don't worry, I'm not crazy. So, Noah, let me ask you a question. What is it like being recruited on Zoom? I mean, all the stuff that's going on with COVID-19 and the pandemic, you can't go down to the school. The coaches can't come to your house and talk to you and your family and tell you why it would be best to come to their school. What was it like being recruited in a completely different way?
Very different. Not ideal. But you got to do what you got to do in times like this. And, I mean, coaches, they did everything they could Zoom-wise, like you're talking about, to show facilities, talk with coaches daily on Zoom, even watch some film. So just kind of made the best out of what we had, and that's all we could do.
So was there anything specific about Jeff Traylor as a head coach that caused you to pick UTSA over the other schools you were recruited by?
He's a great coach. Talked to several guys about him. They had nothing but good things to say about him. I loved his energy. Even players that they didn't know I was talking to had nothing but good things to say about him. So if players, other coaches, and other people are saying he's a good guy, then he must be.
Noah, when you watched the game of football, before you even decided to play football, what made you decide to play the linebacker position? Were you a running back? Were you a wide receiver? Were you a quarterback? What made you pursue the position inside linebacker?
I love to hit people. I didn't want to get hit. I would rather hit people.
Oh, well, you know what? If you want to hit somebody, I'll tie Speedy to a chair, and you can just run into him as much as you want. We can use him as a real bashing dummy. Okay, he would be perfect for you. Okay, look at that hair, look at that beard. We just put a big X on the forehead, and you could attack him as much as you want. You could spear him. How's that sound?
That's right.
You see that? I got a teammate over here. Now we could just beat the hell out of Speedy.
You have more than you remember.
As you guys know, we are talking to UTSA inside linebacker commit Noah Mitchell. Now, Noah, I've been watching the game of football for a very, very long time. And the inside linebacker is a very important position. As a matter of fact, the inside linebacker controls the front seven on most NFL football teams. When you look at the game and the style and how it's changed from college to the NFL, what stands out to you about your position from all the other positions?
Oh, it's just the quarterback of the defense. I mean, you got to know every position in and out. You got to know what the defensive line's doing, your other linebackers, and what your secondary is doing behind you. I mean, it's just honestly, I think it's one of the most important spots on defense for sure, if not the most important. And you just got to be on your P's and Q's all the time.
One of the other big responsibilities of it is the defensive play calling, getting the signals from the defensive coordinator, and really communicating that, being they could see the whole field, they could see offensive motion, stuff like that. Have you had to deal with any of that as a defensive captain or anything like that in any level of football that you've played? And if so, what are some of the mental training and stuff like that you have to do to prepare for something like that?
So film study is huge. You got to know what they're going to do before they snap the ball, or just their tendencies, their formations, what they like to do. And, yeah, for sure, coach is going to be signaling things last second, so you got to delay it to your other guys around you. And so that's tough sometimes, but that's your responsibility as a middle linebacker, so you got to get it done.
We are talking to UTSA middle linebacker recruit Noah Mitchell. Now, Noah, I've been watching college football for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, I grew up a Seminole fan, all right? And I do not watch college football right now because my team absolutely stinks, okay? I can't sit and watch my team play. And thank God that maybe this year with the recruiting class and some of the recruits that we've interviewed, maybe they'll slowly but surely move forward instead of backwards. So when you look at the NFL and you look at your position and the style of the game and how fast you have to play at your position now, because inside linebacker sometimes now everybody keeps talking about the outside linebacker. The inside linebacker has to get to the quarterback. He's got to control stop the run. You got to do everything. So is there a particular defensive lineman or inside linebacker that you can compare and contrast your skills to, and why?
Oh, I'd have to say, well, he's not in the NFL no more, but Brian Bosworth, that's he was a player. He had that attitude that when he stepped on the field that he was going to dominate. And I feel like I try to play like he did at Oklahoma. He was a beast, and yeah, he was just an all-around playmaker.
By the way, I love the old school answer. Love that. I always see that from a lot of the recruits. So that foreshadows nicely to my next question. How do you think the game has really changed with the middle linebacker position? It used to be very much, it was like a physical, bulky type of linebacker positions, great coverage guys a lot of the time, but they weren't overly great pass rushers. They weren't overly fast sideline to sideline. Now you're seeing more of a speed game with some of these younger linebackers that are getting drafted, guys like Deion Jones, guys like Levante David now. So how do you think the game has changed, and why do you think that those changes have been in effect at the middle linebacker position?
Speed for sure. You're no longer, your middle linebacker is not going to be some big bulky guy just to stop the run. Like you said, you're going to have to cover the back out of the backfield, get a tight end, run up the seam. I mean, you got to run sideline to sideline, and I think that's what's changed the most from old school to now.
Now, Noah, I've watched a couple of clips of you and I've seen what you're strong at in my eyes. I'm not a scout, okay? And if I was, I'd put you on my team, and hopefully in the future you're playing for the New York Jets. I always say this because I want all my recruits that I interview to play for the Jets, because the Jets just need everything, okay? We need everything. And I love your Southern voice. I love your personality. You like to hit people, and you're going to help me beat up Speedy. So we have something in common, okay? Something of madness and craziness. So when you look at the game of football and the transition from the NCAA to the NFL, is there anything that stands out from your game that you can give to the NFL that a lot of players don't do coming out of college?
I think just main thing with me is my motor. I'm a big motor guy. I won't be the fastest and maybe sometimes not the strongest, but I'm going to be around the ball. I'm going to be at the ball. I'm going to know what's going to happen before they snap it. And I think that's just what makes me the player that I am, just a student of the game. And, just the motor pretty much.
So one of the most unique prospects out of the last year's draft was Isaiah Simmons. He's labeled as a middle linebacker, but he could play a lot of different positions, slot corner, safety, and versatility. We've seen it on the offensive side really become a big deal, but now maybe you're starting to see it on the defensive side. Can you see those types of Isaiah Simmons-like players, whether they're primarily a middle linebacker or even primarily something else, be a new norm in today's game?
100%. Dude's a complete alpha. He's a dude for sure. I mean, like I said, everything's speeding up now, so you're going to have a linebacker that's going to go down as a defensive end, or he's going to drop back and move out wide as a cornerback. I mean, it's definitely changing, and speed's definitely it now.
We are talking to UTSA middle linebacker recruit Noah Mitchell. Now, Noah, I see that you're having a party. I hear all the people screaming. Why weren't we invited? I mean, seriously, I know you're down south, but we should be invited. I don't know if you want to invite him because he'd scare your dogs away. But, I'm sure you have some good Southern food. I mean, I love a barbecue. Okay, I love a good barbecue. So, I mean, why haven't you invited us?
I do apologize. That's definitely not a party going on. It's my uncle's kids running crazy, and actually they just came in. I thought I had the door locked, but had to shoo them out.
So where are you from? Where are you? Where are you brought up? Where do you live right now?
I was born and raised in Leakesville, Mississippi, and right now my mom and dad live in Mobile, Alabama, which is like 45 minutes from there, so it's not bad at all.
Mobile, Alabama. Who is that from? Forrest Gump? I think it was right. Forrest Gump, right? Mobile, Alabama. I love that movie. That is one of the greatest movies of all time. It really is. And in the story, just could you imagine living that life? How perfect that life was. It don't matter where he went or what he did. He got everything in the long run. No matter how much people made fun of him, he achieved every single thing. Medal of Honor, Purple Star, Purple Heart, whatever. I mean, the guy did everything. He was a top of the line college, punt returner. I mean, the guy did everything. He was a war hero. He won ping pong tournaments, world champion. He was a shrimp boat man. He owned Apple. I mean, come on, man. Who could have lived that kind of life?
Yeah,
seriously,
for sure.
It's a great story, man. It is a great story. So this is what we do, bud. We ask you some silly questions, all right? And we're going to ask you some silly questions. We expect a silly answer, okay? And then after that, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask us 3 questions of your own, whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be rated R, but just not too bad of rated R, okay? We're going to try to keep the kids, weighing outlandish craziness on this show. But anyways, first question I'm going to ask you, boxers or briefs, and why?
Definitely a briefs guy. I got to have some support, and boxers just ain't cutting it.
Now, is it because your fellows hang to the ground and, they might get beaten up, especially if you get tackled over there?
Yeah, I definitely don't want them things moving around too much. So briefs are definitely the go-to.
I mean, the girls don't want to see it either, man. I mean, seriously, if you lose one of those fellows, I mean, that could be a good chance of losing one of those sweet chin music, beautiful women, So you need to keep those things safe, man. Make sure that cup is secure with those boxer briefs, bud. I'm just letting you know, man, because I know I was an athlete, and quite a few times when I played sports, I didn't have the unbelievable boxer shorts that would hold the cup in together, okay? We had these weird things that would flip, okay? And I used to get smashed and beaten up over there plenty of times. So I'm trying to secure my thing now so it's safe,
Oh, yeah.
Second question: favorite snack to eat before a game and why?
Favorite snack? Sour Skittles. I don't know why. I guess it's just a thing. I mean, I feel like I honestly don't know. I guess just one day before a game, one of my buddies handed me one. I think I played good, and so before every game now, I just eat some Sour Skittles.
Oh, he's a Sour Skittles man. We got to introduce him to Marshawn Lynch. I mean, him and Marshawn would really get along, especially Mr. Skittles man himself. But so you know what? I do this a lot, and Speedy keeps this on. Now that I know you like Sour Skittles, here's what we're going to do. Your first season's in 2021, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is the deal. If you start and you get 4 or more sacks in your first year as a freshman, I will send you a 2-month supply of Sour Skittles on me. Okay?
Bet.
2 boxes. That's 2 boxes of Sour Skittles, my friend. I'm going to send them to you. I've been trying to send these. I will not. And by the way, Speedy, I want you to reach out to our 2 guys for the pizza. I was reading. I am not sending pizza out to them because they were already. I already know that it's going to take 3 days. Even if I overnight, it's going to take 2 days to get there, and the crust is. It's not even worth sending pizza over there to them. They have to eat it naturally here, so I can't do that. But I'll do something with them when we get them on the show again. But I want you to write to them. So we can't send pizza to any of the fans. So unfortunately, New York pizza is something that you guys have never had, and the only way you're going to be able to enjoy it is if you come here to New York. But I am going to live up to my bet. Speedy's going to write it down, right, Speedy? Mm-hmm. And if you get 4 or more sacks your freshman year, you will get 2 months' supply of Sour Skittles from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
I'm going to have to hold you up to it for sure. That sounds great.
You will, and I will hold you up to it because I want to see 4 sacks, buddy.
Let's get it.
All right, and last question for us. Blondes or brunettes, and why?
Definitely going to have to say blondes, and if I said brunettes, my girlfriend would be pretty pissed off. So my girlfriend's a blonde, and so
what's your girlfriend's name?
Yeah, I'll probably get in trouble if you even say brunette.
What is your girlfriend's name?
Peyton.
Peyton, like Peyton Manning. I mean, I love her already. She could be part of our family because I am a Peyton Manning fan. So I am a huge Peyton Manning fan. And honestly, I want to ask you a serious question, and you can answer. Who's a better quarterback, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady?
Peyton Manning.
All right. I love him even more. See, this, me and him are buddies now. There is no more Tom Brady. It's Peyton Manning's show, ladies and gentlemen. But
right.
Shout out to your girlfriend, Peyton. How long have you guys been together?
I think like 3.5 years.
Wow. Is she traveling with you when you go away for school?
Yes, sir.
Really? Oh, I love this story. This is great. Match made in heaven.
She's going to make the trip.
Well, that's great, man. I'm happy for you. That's great to find a good woman that will do everything she can to see you and be around you. So that's a great woman. So shout out to Peyton, the wonderful. And when are you going to propose to her? Huh? When are you proposing to her? I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm going to throw him under the bus. He's going to kill me after this interview. What the hell? Yes, yeah. Oh, man. All right. So you got 3 questions for us. Any questions you want, ask away.
What are y'all, boxer or brief guys?
I am a boxer brief guy. You know, I do like my friends to stay secure in a very nice way. I don't like when they hang and they slap all different ways. I was an athlete, unlike somebody over there in the corner. I was a hockey player, and I had my experiences over the years of wearing boxers under my cup. In those days, we didn't have cups like you. We had crappy cups that like to flip around and hurt you. So, and I got really badly hurt one time, and I'll never forget it. You ever feel like your whole body go numb from your waist down? That's where that area felt. It felt my whole area went numb. Okay, and hopefully I did get tested over there. Thank God that my friends over there are still living. So there you go. I'm going with boxer briefs.
Yeah, I'm a mixture of everything. I wear all 3 of them. It just depends on what I have.
Tidy whities. He wears tidy whities, by the way.
No, I don't. That's the only thing I do not know. But yeah, I probably have
tidy whities. SpongeBob tidy whities. Don't let him lie to you. And he actually came on the show and he told us, listen to this, Noah. This kid actually told me one time that he's done the show Commando. He did the show Commando.
And I did it in my pajamas here.
He did his show Commando right next to me. I was sitting.
No, I said I did it here, not in your house.
You're a liar.
Pajamas in your house.
You're a liar. You see that? No. You see that? You see that? He don't want to admit what he did. You know, it's okay. You know, just admit.
I know what I did.
You're a liar.
I know what I did. It was here,
Noah.
not your house.
Don't believe him, Noah. Go ahead. Next question.
Let's see. Are y'all golfers? Y'all golf?
I do not golf, but I can drive a golf ball. I was at the U.S. Open 2 years ago in the Hamptons. I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of professional golfers, interviewed a lot of professional golfers. I did embarrass myself on the course. I tried to have these little practice things, trying to putt and stuff like that. I am horrible, okay? I am the worst golfer known to man. So I can drive a ball 300 yards. I can hit a ball. I just can't do anything else. So no, I'm not a golfer. I'm horrendous.
No, I'm not either. I've golfed a couple times. My best friend, one of my best friends in college, he was a big golfer. He always loved to go. So he took me a couple times, but I was not good at all. And I haven't been back since it was like 2015 or 16 was the last time I went.
Maybe it was because you playing Commando or something. Maybe you weren't wearing underwear, right underwear.
Commando.
Maybe the tidy whities were crawling up your ass. I don't know. I mean, these things could be happening to you, and that's why you weren't playing very well. I mean, it's happened to me before. I've never played Commando golf, but you know, there's a lot of things that just don't surprise me about you, Stevie. That's for sure. Oh man! Last question, my friend.
Let's see. Favorite kind of ice cream? What you got?
I'll let you answer that question, Speedy.
Say it again.
Favorite kind of ice cream?
Favorite kind of ice cream?
Anything that's peanut butter, chocolate chip type, peanut butter, chocolate, anything like that is my favorite.
Yeah, he likes whipped cream too, if you know what I mean. You know, he likes that whipped cream. Yeah, he loves that whipped cream. He loves that whipped cream. You know, you just you know, Speedy has that. You know, he goes to Friendlies and he's like, "Don't forget the whipped cream."
No, I actually don't care about it. I think it's overrated.
Oh, you don't care about whipped cream? Come on,
not really.
No, you're a liar. Yeah, just like you don't do the show Commando. You don't wear tidy whities. Why do you have to lie to the fans? Just tell the truth.
I'm telling you. I always put too much on it.
No, just ask him to tell the truth for once in his life. Tell the truth. Do you like whipped cream? Yes or no?
It's fine. It's just not amazing, and it's not.
Oh, it went from I don't like it to it's fine. You see,
I didn't say that. I said it's overrated.
We're going to mute this guy. He's a liar. He's a liar, Noah. He's a liar. I've got a liar as a partner on the show. My producer is a liar. Anyways, Noah, I am a mint chocolate chip guy, man. I love my mint chocolate chip. I love the chocolate chips in it. I love the green because it looks like goo. You know, I like goo, you know. Does that make sense? You know, I don't think so. It doesn't make sense. I do like you're probably going to leave the show. He's going to be like, that guy is out of his mind. No, listen, I like to have fun. When I get you guys on the show, I want you guys to feel comfortable. And when I do a radio show, I like to be outlandish and crazy, but I like to have fun. I'll be serious sometimes, but all in all, I want you to enjoy yourself on the show because I want you to come on again and experience a great experience with us. That you're going to take a step back and say, you know what, 10 years from now, I want you to remember our interview. I don't want you to remember all the same stupid, ridiculous questions everybody asks you and then at the end of it, like, I answered that question 60 million times. Why do I want to answer it again? You know what I mean? So I just like to have fun with you guys. I'm happy that you are a friend of the show now. I want to see you with a lot of success, my friend. And I'm going to watch you grow as a football player at UTSA. And hopefully in the future, you're playing in the NFL for my team, the New York Jets. What do you say about that?
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like
No, it better. It better because we need linebackers. We need everything. You know what? We need a bunch of horses too because they some of them run like girls. I don't know. They're just absolutely terrible. I mean, my team stinks. But Noah, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
On Twitter, Noah Mitchell _42, and on Instagram, Noah Mitchell 15.
Now, Noah, we're going to get you on the show next year when the season starts for UTSA. I want you to come back on. I want to see how you're feeling, what it's like being on campus with your beautiful, wonderful girlfriend, Peyton, and enjoying yourselves over there, enjoying the outlook of a very beautiful city over there. And I want to see how you're doing, man. And by the way, 4 sacks, baby. 4 sacks or more. 2 months supply of sour Skittles, my friend. Compliment from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
I got you.
All right. Noah Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen. Inside linebacker. Nice kid. Really, really nice kid. He had a lot of fun with us. Hopefully he doesn't think I'm crazy, okay? Hopefully he doesn't think I'm crazy, but that's what we do. And by the way, Noah, he does wear tighty whities. Don't let him lie to you. This man wears tighty whities. He does. And there's no lie to that. That's for damn sure. Anyways, I do want to finish up with the basketball season. Last night, okay, for anybody to sit back after one game and say that the Nets are going to the NBA championship, it is an absolute ridiculous statement, okay? I understand Kevin Durant scored 22 points and Kyrie Irving scored his 20-something points, and everybody wants to sit there and say, you know what? There's nobody beating them in the Eastern Conference. Well, my answer to that is, why are you going to come out and say that when they played a Golden State Warrior team that didn't have Draymond Green last night, didn't have Klay Thompson, they had Steph Curry, Wiseman, and really Andrew Wiggins. This is not a full end team right now. And I don't think you're going to see Klay Thompson. You're not going to see Klay Thompson this year with the Achilles tear. And you're going to see Draymond Green eventually this year. But this is not the Golden State Warriors we were expecting this year. We thought with Klay Thompson and Wiseman was going to change the outlook to where this team is going to go, especially adding somebody like Wiseman to the middle of their upfront court. And something they've been weak at is rebounding and doing the things that they should be doing defensively in the paint. Adding Wiseman was definitely going to help them from Memphis. And last night, the Nets looked like a good team. They really did. Now, let's see them do this consistently in 82 games. Let's see if Kyrie Irving stays healthy all season long. Let's see if a guy like Kevin Durant stays away from social media and Twitter and tweeting out to people when they lose or using 6 or 7 Twitter accounts to make a point, okay? I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear anything. You're in New York now. You're in the biggest city of the world. We don't want to hear crazy, outlandish crap that comes out of Kyrie Irving's mouth that the earth is flat, okay? Or any of the crap. These two guys are the laughing stock of the NBA the last couple of years. I'm sorry. Besides Draymond Green, I mean, and Steph Curry thinking that we never stood on the moon. I mean, the two craziest things that I've ever heard in the NBA in the last couple of years is the earth is flat, a.k.a. Kyrie Irving and his thoughts. And then Kevin Durant coming out and lying to the fans that he didn't have 6 or 7 Twitter accounts. And then it came out that he did. And then he said that he didn't use them and that somebody else was using them. I mean, it's so crazy that these two players, these two jokesters, I guess you want to call them jokesters, or just complimented idiots in the NBA, are playing for the same team, wanted to play together, and they're playing for the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, by the way, has a coach that's never coached before, an offensive-minded coach that has completely failed in New York, not for the Nets, but with the Knicks. And then Amari Stoudemire, who I absolutely love. I think he's a New York Knick for life because I love his personality and I love what he gives to the New York fan, but he is not a defensive-minded coach. So why do you have these 3 idiots coaching these 2 idiots? I have no idea. And I'm not saying that they're going to fail. I'm not going to say that they're going to fail, but I do not believe that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win a championship this year. I don't. And anybody that thinks that they are is absolutely going to see, the root of all evil when this starts to break down. And I mean, when this team starts to break down because either Kyrie Irving gets hurt or Kevin Durant gets hurt, you will see what I'm talking about. There's no way that Steve Nash is going to lead a team without superstars. There's no way. And I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, it seems like it's only certain superstars that can get away with not having the best of the best when it comes to the coaches, or not the best of the worst of the worst when it comes to the coaches. LeBron being one of them. We saw them win a championship with Tyronn Lue of all people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Warriors did it with Steve Kerr, who we think is that kind of figurehead guy too. I don't think Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant's really that type of guy. And Kyrie Irving, especially, who you've labeled as a coach killer in the past and has been an organization killer. One game is nice. He played well. Give him credit, but it's one game. And also Steve Nash is, what he is, he knows the Warriors too. So that could also help in that factor as well, why they're limited to 99 points and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a long-term process. I agree with you. I don't really see the Nets as a championship team. They have a nice depth right now, assuming they don't trade it, but who knows? They could even trade it and make some kind of crazy dumb trade. So,
well, that's what they're going to do, because I don't think they really believe they can win with the team that they have right now. With Karis LeVert, even though I think he could be a great player, a great third-tier type of player, Spencer Dinwiddie. And I will tell you this, you will see slowly but surely Spencer Dinwiddie's numbers go completely down. And I think that has a lot to do with coaching, one. And number two, two superstars are demanding the ball. You're not going to see a lot of Spencer Dinwiddie. You're not going to see a lot of Karis LeVert or this kid Harris. You're going to see a lot of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That's what you're going to see a lot of, and a lot of boring basketball, because these guys are going to hog the ball and they're going to try to dominate the way they've done on all respectable teams they've played for. So I hope for the Net fans sitting back and thinking that this is going to be a championship year with Kevin Durant, I hope you guys sure know what you guys are talking about, and hope that this team really turns out to be the team that you think they're going to be, because I don't think they're that good. Okay. I really don't.
They're good. It's just, can they be great? People are elevating them to be great now. This next best thing. Are they going to be better than Miami or Milwaukee or Boston or one of those types of teams? That's the class everyone's trying to put them in. And it's just going to be a matter of if those depth players play well. Durant's not necessarily the ball hog that I'm worried about is going to hinder the young players, but Kyrie definitely is. We saw it in Boston, and we saw Boston play better without him. They made the Eastern Conference Finals and took LeBron to 7 games and played well against LeBron in that series. And the next year with Kyrie Irving, when he's healthy, they do nothing. Paul Pierce picks them to sweep the Bucks and they fall apart in 5. So the Nets young players might just be like that too. Durant, I don't know if he'll have that problem. It's just more of how strong will he come back. So far, so good, but it's one game.
Speaking of the Lakers, last night, the debacle. I know it's the first game of the season, and Paul George did what everybody thought Paul George was going to do in the playoffs last year, and he completely fell apart against the Nuggets, and that's why they didn't play the Lakers in the Western Conference Championship, and that might have been a different game. Maybe the Clippers beat out the LA Lakers, and they win the NBA championship. I mean, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are definitely capable of winning a 7-game series against this Laker team, as good as Anthony Davis is and LeBron James is, and even some of the acquisitions they made this offseason. I mean, they made some tremendous acquisitions. The Lakers are a lot better this year than they were last year, and they played practically the same team they played last year, as far as maybe Serge Ibaka is the only addition they added over there. I mean, this is practically the same team, and the Clippers outplayed the LA Lakers, a very talented LA Lakers team, probably the most talented team that LeBron James has ever played with in his career. I really do believe that. With the all-around talent, the bench players that they had, the additions that they've added, the 6-man of the year, they added the point guard. I mean, they've added some good depth to this team in the bench. This might be the most talented team LeBron James has ever played with. So, and they're actually young. They're not veteran players like Ray Allen or one of those guys. I mean, you're adding some young players. They're in their early 20s, late 20s. They're still in the youth of their careers. So this is going to be the best Laker team we've seen LeBron James play for, and this is the second year. But it's going to be fun to watch the Lakers this year as well as the Clippers. I was very impressed what Paul George got hot in the fourth quarter. You could not stop Paul George in the fourth quarter last night. He was all over the place, hitting shots in all different directions, all different places. He was phenomenal. And Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. Great defensive player, probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. And as far as I'm concerned, the best all-around player in the NBA is Kawhi Leonard. And if these guys can play at the top of their game, watch out. There's not many teams that can out-defend this team, even the additions that they made in the offseason. What's his name again? They added defensive player from the I forget his name. Oh, my God. They added another defensive player to the team this year. Came from the Charlotte. I think he came from the Charlotte. He played for the Charlotte Hornets. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Well, you're the producer. You should be looking it up and giving me some names, but I'll look it up because you're not really much of a help over here. The LA Clippers roster.
Nick Batum? Is that your friend?
Yes. Batum was the guy. And this is a team that has a lot of depth defensively. They really do. Patrick Beverley. They have Serge Ibaka, who's a good defender. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. This is a very good defensive team. And then you add Nicholas Batum, who is a very good all-around defender. You still have Reggie Jackson, who didn't play last night. He still plays for the team. I mean,
Patrick Patterson's pretty good too defensively as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good, rounded defensive team. If they can get into the playoffs again this year and not have one of those breakdowns that we saw in the playoffs last year, this team is definitely qualified and definitely capable of knocking off the LA Lakers. Absolutely.
Yeah, the talent's there. There's no doubt about that. And I think the depth is very similar. The Lakers have added more depth, and now obviously adding Errol, that's going to make a big difference in terms of the identity, not only of knowing what the Clippers do, but also the rivalry aspect of it. In terms of this game, I kind of expected the Lakers to start a little slow because obviously a shortened off season now, just winning the NBA championship at end of September. So they didn't have as much rest as the Clippers did, who obviously fell apart in the playoffs. So I kind of expected that from the Lakers, especially we see this with LeBron a lot of the times. They'll load manage games in the beginning of the season. And obviously he played, but you're not going to have them play anything at the full throttle like you see LeBron play later in the season too. And I think the identity too, with a lot of the new players coming in, not a new coach necessarily. Frank Vogel's still there, not like what the Clippers have with the great Tyronn Lue, but a lot of new players, like you're mentioning, off the bench now, and maybe they just have to get in sync now. And I think that's the biggest thing with the Lakers. So I think they'll kind of start a little slow. I think you can kind of see this going, and then they'll get going and be the dominant force later in the season. Because you're right, this on paper is a more dominant team than last year, which is a scary thought.
Much more dominant team, but I still think the Clippers have the defense to knock off the Lakers. You saw it last night. They completely defended them all game long. If you play like that, I don't trust Tyronn Lue, okay? I don't. But I didn't trust Frank Vogel either last year, and he took that team all the way to an NBA championship and won an NBA championship with LeBron James. So two coaches that have been around in the NBA quite a few places, and hopefully a stopping ground. I don't like what Paul George said about Doc Rivers after the season. But I agree with it. You don't do it in public, but I agree with him on what he said. I don't think Doc Rivers is a good coach. I really don't. I never did. I think the reason of the competitiveness in the championship contending team that he coached in with the Celtics, well, that was Tom Thibodeau. His defensive prowess and his defensive mind, the way they play defense. I'm not saying Doc Rivers isn't a good coach, but we'll see what he does with the 76ers. He's going to a team that over the years has had all the talent in the world, but never can get over the hump. Let's see if Doc Rivers can get them over the hump. If he can, he's a terrible coach. That's all I'm going to say. And Paul George said it best. I mean, winning doesn't only come from the players. It comes from the coaching. So we'll see. I don't think Tyronn Lue is that much better than Doc Rivers. That's for sure. Maybe he's a player's coach.
Yeah, that's really all he is maybe that's who they care about. But like I said earlier, there's certain players you can get away with that with. Is Kawhi Leonard that guy? He's had great coaches his whole career. Is Paul George that guy? He's had not great, but steadily good coaches his whole career for the most part. are they those types of guys that you could just get away with it and have them just be like the player coaches and just carry the team like that? Because we've seen it with LeBron, we've seen it with the Warriors, and a couple other guys throughout history with NBA, just in NBA history. But are those types of players, those types of guys? Kawhi Leonard's a great playoff performer. We'll see how it is with a really big drop off of a coach from Doc Rivers, and also from what he's had in the past with even with Toronto and Nick Nurse and obviously Greg Popovich.
And then tonight, opening night for the New York Knicks. I think they're down by 2 right now against the Indianapolis. I will say this. Knick fans, take a step back, watch some of these young players develop. Quigley looks like he's a player. Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett's growth, Mitchell Robinson's growth, Kevin Knox's growth. Let's see what these guys could do under a real coach, Tom Thibodeau, a guy that's been successful in the league, preaches defense. Let's see what this team can do. I mean, take a step back. Don't be too hard on these guys. They're not expected to win more than 20 games this year. If they do, it's been a success of a season this year. I really love what the Knicks are doing right now with Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau and Wesley over there. I think this is a great, and Scott Perry. I love what they're doing. This is a wonderful marriage, and we're not hearing anything with James Dolan being involved with the team. And when we don't hear James Dolan's name, that's a good sign for the New York Knicks fan. So there's a lot of good things to talk about. I know a lot of New York Jet fans and are not very happy about the whole Trevor Lawrence thing, but we need, there's 2 weeks left. Anything could happen. Anything could happen with the Jets. The Giants are still in. They still have an opportunity for a playoff berth. So that's a good sign. The hockey season starts January 15th. The Islanders with Sorokin and the opportunity to see some of the young players and this team go at it again. A team that made it to the Eastern Conference Championship last year. A success story for Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello and the New York Rangers. Their young player and some of the young players that they have. And hopefully the growth of Panarin and Zibanejad winning the big game for the Rangers in the playoffs. That's something that a lot of Ranger fans want to see. And the Yankees and the Mets. The Mets with no ownership, adding McCann and May and hopefully George Springer and some other guys. DJ LeMahieu going back to the Yankees and being a contender this year. There's not a lot of bad things to look forward to New York sports. It really isn't. The Nets are going to be good this year. The Knicks are a young team growing. So New York sports is on their way. It really is. It's going to take a little while, but I do believe in the next 2 or 3 years, win, lose, or draw, that all these teams are going to be successful. If the owners stay out of it and let the coaches be coaches and the GMs be GMs. That's
James
it.
Dolan, we're looking at you.
The Wilpons,
they're gone.
New York sports, the Johnson family. I mean, this is even the Maras. I mean, this is let the GMs be GMs and let the coaches be coaches. Stay out of the team processes, and if you do that, there's a good chance that these teams will become successful. I really do believe that. That's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Joe DeLeone. If you haven't checked him out, he's got a podcast for the New York Giants on SB Nation. Nice kid. I definitely want to get him on again. He definitely had a good time with us. Noah Mitchell, the UTSA inside linebacker. Nice kid. Had a lot of fun with him. Thank you for joining us. And Merry Christmas to all the fans out there. And Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. We'll be back next week. We'll be doing shows on our network. A lot of great things happening in the new year. I just want to let all the fans know that we're very thankful this year to have all you guys tuning into us every single day and showing us some love. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Happy holidays, everybody. No matter what you're celebrating, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Have a safe and just enjoyable holiday season, everybody listening out there.
Absolutely. That's it for our show. We will be back next week on Monday. Until then, this is Errol Marks and Speedy Petey saying good night, and we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.